What's going on, everybody? Burt Byler here, and normally on this channel, I make and celebrate country and Americana music, but today I wanted to try something out that's a little bit different. One issue that I have with the music industry is a lot of times is we are very hush-hush about money and about business. And one thing that I wanted to do was just to share some stuff that is going on in my music business. I have maybe a different perspective than certain people. I think sometimes we as musicians do things backwards. And so I want to share some things that I'm doing, and maybe it'll encourage or help some other people. Now, I'm not saying this is the only way to do this. I'm just sharing some stuff that is working for me, and maybe some of you musicians might find this to be interesting. Now, here's my little sermon. I believe that we as musicians do things backwards. The normal, traditional way to make money as a musician is to spend money, a lot of times, a lot of money, to record music. You then go on tour, and then you try to sell tickets to concerts, and then you make merch. You try to sell merch at that concert, and you hope you make more than $22 on streaming. And so the problem that I find with those three areas is, one, everybody else in the music is trying to record music and get people to listen to it. Everybody's trying to tour, and everybody's trying to sell merch. So it is an incredibly saturated industry, and if you are trying to do those things, you are competing with the big folks. In the country music world, you are competing with Tyler Childers, Chris Stapleton, and all of the big names out there. And so it's really hard to get people to listen to your music because there's so much amazing music out there. It's also really hard to get people to come to concerts because, let's be honest, we have Netflix and we have the internet. It's just hard to get people to show up. And so, in my opinion, if those things are so hard to do and only a very small percentage of musicians actually make that work for them, maybe we should think about some other options. Now, do I think you shouldn't do those things? Of course not. I'm a parent and a full-time teacher right now, so I'm not a successful musician. I don't do this 100% for a living. I'm trying to. I'm working on it. I've got some other revenue streams or some other places that some of you musicians can make some money and do a lot of good. Like, I'm only talking about the business aspect of all this stuff. But ever since I started these things that I'm about to talk about, it has brought so much joy to my life because I've built a community of folks that's growing and that is incredible. By the way, the reason I'm calling my music business Upside Down is because I believe you should start with these new revenue streams, and then once you have a big enough fan base where touring and making a lot of music makes sense, then do it and it can be successful. But you can start these things with very little barrier of entry and it's very affordable. You ain't got to spend all the money to make it happen. I'm going to tell you my 5 revenue streams, and you know what? None of them are touring. Also, I'm going to tell you exactly how much money I make from each revenue stream, and I'm going to tell you how much I've made in total from 2021. It might shock you. So, first revenue stream, and this one in the year of 2021 from streaming, I have made $12.70. And that makes up 0.0012% of my entire earnings in 2021. $12.70. Thank you, streaming. Thank you, Spotify and Apple. Like, I appreciate all y'all, but y'all can just go kiss my toe. The next revenue stream that I want to talk about is merchandise, which is the next biggest revenue stream that I have. Streaming and merch are by far my smallest revenue streams. And we're going to talk about one revenue stream, which is kind of the biggest, which I think you musicians need to be focusing on. I have made from merch in 2021, I have made $927.51. Now, that makes up 9% of my total revenue for the year. The problem with merch is it's expensive. So really, you could take half of that, and that's how much I actually made. So say let's say $500 I made on merch this year. That's the big difference with new modern revenue streams and old revenue streams. Touring and merch and streaming or making music or selling vinyls or selling CDs is so expensive. It costs so much money to do all of those things, and your profit margins are incredibly slim. Okay, the next revenue stream that I have been trying to encourage my friends to do that nobody's willing to do is monthly membership. This can be a Patreon. This can be your own thing. For example, I use MemberPress because I have a WordPress website. It ends up saving me money, but Patreon is great. A monthly membership is where you build a community of folks that are willing to support you with a small amount of money a month because they believe in what you do, and normally you give them some kind of perks. If you would like to go see my membership, head on over to burtbyler.com/join. You can check out some of the perks that I do. Little pro tip though, build community. Build something bigger than yourself and don't make it all about you. I started a monthly membership in April. So I'm giving you numbers from April to December. This isn't even the entire year. If I had been doing it since January, this percentage would be larger. From April to December, I have made $1,150, and that makes up about 11% of my revenue from the past year. But I'm missing January, February. I'm missing 3 months. So it's really a higher percentage. You can set up a Patreon page in 1 hour. Figure out some perks that your audience would like. Hell, ask them what they want. Ask them on Twitter. Hey, I'm thinking about starting this membership. What do y'all want? And they will let you know. Patreon is free. They just take a percentage. It's like 10 or 11% of your earnings, and they do everything for you. All right, we have got the first 3 out of the way. It's time to talk about the big ones, y'all. It's time to talk about the large pieces of the pie. The next major revenue stream that I have is YouTube ads. I believe so many musicians are sleeping on YouTube. YouTube is the platform that pays creators the most. If you make great content, you will grow, period. Now, there's all kind of different ideas on content that you can make. I personally do reaction videos or debate videos. You can go check out any of my reaction videos or any of the different kind of content that we do. But in 2021, just from YouTube ads, I have made $3,088, which comes up to be 31% of my overall revenue. Imagine if some of y'all that had these massive followings, you got 50,000 followers on Twitter, and you started making some YouTube content that your folks would enjoy. That would be a nice little chunk of money. Like $3,000 is so much money, and that's just from ads. That's not even what I'm about to talk about. It doesn't cost you hardly anything. You don't need this microphone. You don't need all of this stuff that I got. You can do it with a cell phone, okay? Stop being basic. Stop just doing covers like everybody else. Think outside the box. Fifth and largest revenue stream. Does anybody know what it is? You want to take a guess? You want to give it a shot? What do you think it is? Now, my folks know what it is because my folks are the most generous, most amazing group of folks I've ever met in my dadgum life. The biggest revenue stream that I have are from donations or tips. It is from people who support what I'm doing, who in a live stream donate money. By the way, this doesn't count the money that we have raised for other musicians. I added it up and we raised over $2,000 for other musicians throughout the year. But ladies and gentlemen, I have made almost $5,000 off of donations. $4,853 with a YouTuber that only has 8,000 and a little bit subscriber. I'm not massive. I got 250 people on my email list. I am not a big deal. Some of y'all with a big following, if you found a way to allow for tips and donations, it would change your music business. Now, this makes up 48% of my overall revenue for the year. And you know the crazy thing about donations? It doesn't cost you anything. It's just straight money in your pocket. The only thing that it costs are the transaction fees. So most of my donations have come from PayPal, and they just take a small fee. We used to do a lot of YouTube super chats, but YouTube keeps 30% of the super chat, so we changed it up. But it's insane how generous people can be when they believe in you. Now, also something that is very important to know, a lot of that money has come from a very small amount of people. You guys know who those are. Shout out to the Godfather, Capo, all of y'all who are so generous with supporting what I'm doing. But that brings us to a grand total. And in 2021, I've made $10,000 and $10,030. $10,000 on the internet. And I'm just hoping that this information can encourage you guys to try it out. Try some different things. Should you stop touring? No. Should you stop making music? No. Should you stop trying to get on everybody's Spotify end of the year list? All of that is fine. There's some other options. Why don't you add these to those? Let me know in the comments what y'all think. Is there anything else about my business that you would like to talk about? And hopefully in 2022, now that we're starting to grow, sponsorships are going to be a thing. I think that's it, everybody. If you like the video, hit the like and subscribe button. I love y'all so much. Go try out some of these new revenue streams, and I'll see you somewhere on down the river.